Hello Aquarius, Elsie here to do your reading. Aquarius, we are doing readings this week for the rest of the year, and although I realize it's only 3 weeks away, we might as well get into it, and maybe it'll spill over into 2026. We can see what maybe might be coming up at the end of the year, maybe early into 2026. How you doing? I hope you're well. Thanks for showing up here. Aquarius, I am going to talk at the end of this video about how you can find a private read, or if you're interested in an extended. If you'd like that, I will talk about it at the end of the video. If you're brand new and you've never been here before, thanks for looking in. I appreciate you clicking here. And by the way, thank you for those of you who have been using the hype button. I keep forgetting about the hype button. And thank you for your thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed, that I'm coming through your feed anyway, all up in your business, you might as well subscribe, right? Let's find out what's going on for you, Aquarius. Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus and Jupiter. Look, how was that moon for you, that full moon in Gemini? I tell you what, made me want to fight somebody. Good thing I stayed home. Made me want to fight somebody. All right, start. We've got, the devil's in reverse. Look at that. Oh, and the sun is here. I kind of like that. And then we have the King of Wands. You know, for me, when the devil is in reverse, it feels like you're breaking the chains that bind you. You're free from something. And I think it makes you really happy. It feels like this. It feels like the horse that's out just like running. The thoroughbred is running as fast as it can. That's what it feels like. Something has released you, or you've released something, the ties that bound you. Maybe it was fear, maybe it was doubt, but it could be a person as well. It feels like you were codependently attached to something or someone, or it was attached to you. I feel like you got away though, is what I think. And so the King of Wands is here to say this was a really hard cycle. I feel like you were in this devil energy, which is obsessive, right? It can be an obsessive loop. It feels like you have finally freed yourself from that. The sun is here. This is a breakthrough, but it's also happiness and it's excitement. You can see, right? And just running as fast as I can. It feels like, because the King of Wands is here, it feels like this was a really tough cycle, because the King of Wands gets to the throne one way only, and that's by just burning it all to the ground and beginning again, right? The King of Wands has walked through the fire. So I feel like you have walked through the fire, and from that hard cycle, it feels like it's released you, or you've released it, but it feels like you've gained wisdom from this. It's like you'll never go back there. You've broken some sort of habit, broken some sort of a pattern here is what it feels like. Something you were doing on a loop, Aquarius. Bravo. Let's find out what else is going on here. We've got, there you go. We've got Aquarius, the star energy. It feels like you've healed something. You may have healed an addiction or a thought pattern that kept you on a loop, or possibly you finally broke away from a situation where you felt trapped. We do have the King of Cups. I feel like you have learned a bunch of lessons here. It really does feel like you have left something behind. You're far happier than you were. You really are. You're far more emotionally happy than you've been in a long time, Aquarius. It feels like you've healed something, or you've come to the end of a cycle of healing. It feels as though it was probably very tumultuous, maybe quite emotional. Maybe you were fighting your emotions, because, you know, the emotional thing is kind of hard for you. It's hard for you to connect your emotions. You mostly stay detached, and you look at things in a logical way rather than an emotional way. And so the King of Cups here tells me that this may have been quite a tumultuous ride for you. But the King of Cups is an expert at staying sturdy in the storm. And so I feel like you didn't let anybody see what was going on the surface. This feels like it could be something that had to do with you feeling as though you couldn't give yourself permission to go, to have fun, to run, to do your thing. But I feel like you are far more emotionally happy coming up in this month of December. And I don't know that it has much to do with the holiday season. I really just feel like you've made a breakaway. You've broken away from something and healed something that was deeply emotional for you. And I feel like you've walked through the fire to do it. It could have something to do with family, but it could have something to do with breaking a loop of you being the only person that brought happiness to a situation. And what I mean by that is, this feels to be like it could be codependency. It feels like you maybe broke away from a situation where you felt like you couldn't leave. You felt obligated to stay. It feels like it was kind of a trap. But I think that the emotional healing that you've done is what has got you in a happier way. This, I feel, is a wisdom that you will take through your life. I don't think you'll ever get yourself in this position again of being codependent with someone, something. Could be workplace. Look, a lot of workplaces will count on you showing up early, 15 minutes every day over a year. How much free time are you giving them? Do you know what I mean? Like, it feels like you've been giving away a lot of things without regard for your own emotions. And I feel like you were keeping it all tucked away. I feel with the star here that it does feel like for the first time in a long while, Aquarius, you're feeling hopeful. Hopeful about whatever was tumultuous, I feel, is evening itself out. As we see the King of Cups hanging on here in this tumultuous, deeply emotional thing. But it's bringing you happiness. We do have joy here as well. Look, we have the Three of Cups. Something is turning in the right direction for you, but I don't think it's just magic pixie dust. I don't think nobody sprinkled you with anything. I think it took a lot of hard work, but mostly I feel it took bravery. It takes bravery to see the issue or the problem and break free from it. A lot of people will live their life doing the things that everyone else wants them to do for them, but you're not. Nope, you've broken away here. We've got the Hermit energy and we have the Page of Cups. I think it's sort of surprising how happy you have become by being in solitude. Being alone. It feels like there was somebody in your environment that needed you, or that it's like you felt obligated to them. So, the King of Cups for me can be a parent. It's only the only one of the court cards to me that is a parent besides the Emperor and Empress. And the King of Cups could be a mother or a father. And it could be a mother who had a lot of masculine energy, or it could be a father. It feels like you've healed something here. And it feels like it was deeply tumultuous, but it feels like you have spent some time in Hermit energy, and that's the place that we go for, healing and to find out exactly where we are on the path. It's like it's surprising that you become happy far more when you're in solitude than when you are with people. Maybe not so surprising, I would say, but I feel it's almost like an exhale. Like the Hermit energy to me feels like a spiritual exhale. It feels like whatever you've been keeping down deep here emotionally evens itself out as you get to be by yourself. And maybe it's surprising how happy this makes you feel, even though you've been through some sort of tumultuous unforgiving kind of harsh cycle that you've been through. I think that you not only broke a chain here, but you also healed it and became hopeful, like emotionally hopeful. I'm going to put down two cards here. We're going to talk about what it's going to be, what's going on under the surface that you don't see. Oh, I kind of like that. The Judgment card is here. Oh, look at the Ace of Cups. It does really feel like you are through the worst of it. I'm going to say that you've come through this scary place of transformation. And I think that part of that transformation for you, Aquarius, was taking back your power. Because although you are someone who will primarily, and not always, because not all Aquariuses are created equal, look, we all have moon and rising energies that influence the sun. So you're not all the same type of Aquarius. Some of you are closer to the cusp of Pisces. That will give you more softer psychic energy. It's very different for all of you, but I feel like the type of Aquarius I'm connecting to is somebody who is giving too much of themselves. And that sort of is on par for you because you're very much a humanitarian. And you do really care about what happens to the people that you love the most around you. But I feel like you have finally broken away from something and it's given you relief. I think you finally saw that it was a loop that you were in that had you stuck. I think here, I feel like when the sun came out, you had a breakthrough. You had a breakthrough that something had trapped you and that you allowed yourself to be trapped. It feels like you had been keeping it under the surface all this time. This judgment energy here, what's under the surface, is a rebirth, right? We've got a little, in the tree, we've got a little owl in the tree. We've got people who are getting out of their graves. It's like you're being born again, I want to say. It's like the sun energy and the judgment energy tells me like it's the next part of your ascension. You've come to a really big realization that where you were was not where you wanted to be. You weren't happy there. It was tumultuous because you were expected, or maybe you put this on yourself, but maybe people around you, possibly family, expected you to keep the way you felt about something or your feelings about the situation or the relationship under wraps. They didn't want to hear it. Tell me what the breakthrough is here. Let's talk about the sun. Tell me what the breakthrough is for Aquarius. Oh boy, got the Tower. So it really was a whole ass breakdown. Like it was a whole thing. It feels like you broke away, it caused a shift, and you thought, well, while I'm here, I'm just going to get on the horse and go. When the sun is here, look, the judgment, the Tower, and the sun to me is a major awakening. Somebody has gone through or is going through a major awakening as you go into the month of December and possibly into January. It feels like there is something here that you realized because the sun came out. It is a breakthrough. I feel like what you realized is that this place that you had built for yourself, look, it could be a house, it could be a relationship, whatever it was an illusion. You really didn't want it. You worked hard for it, but I feel like you really didn't want it. Maybe you built it so everyone else could see it. And I think that you're finally in this place where you've realized through this breakthrough that what you were doing wasn't exactly what you wanted to do. The Five of Swords is here, and it tells me that you were in a bit of heartbreak. Maybe you were building it to show everybody else, look, I have worth. Maybe it was an issue of worth or wisdom. We do have two kings, right? We have the King of Wands and the King of Cups, and the kings have wisdom, but they also have a specialty, right? This one, the King of Wands has wisdom because this person's walked through the fire. They've been through a lot of really harsh realities. And so this has brought a reality or a breakthrough. We do have the King of Cups, who is the one who always keeps everything stuffed underneath the surface. Doesn't want anyone else in the room to be nervous that if anything goes sideways in the room, the King of Cups has it covered. And so always wants to be very held together. I feel like underneath the surface, the Five of Swords was there, and that you didn't realize that this fizzy drink, it feels like somebody's shaking a fizzy drink and it comes out the top. That's what the Tower is. It's like, it's one last thing, the straw that broke the camel's back. Excuse me. And then we have the moon energy. Isn't that interesting? So it is because of everything you kept under wraps. It's because of everything you kept under wraps essentially comes out the top. Look, you can't hold it down. When the major arcanas are involved here, we have the sun, we have the Tower, we have the devil, and the moon. And it feels to me like something was bothering you deeply here. But you kept it in the dark. You didn't tell anybody. You didn't talk about it. You were just, it's like you were arguing within the self, fighting with myself. Why do I feel this way? I shouldn't feel this way. When really you should feel that way and you should do something about it. Somebody around you in your environment said to you, no, you're not allowed to feel that way. Somewhere along the way, I don't know if it was when you were a kid or if it's like recently, but it feels like you felt as though you had to keep it under wraps here. The moon, the full moon. This may have been something that is cataclysmic that happened during this full moon in Gemini. Because I don't know what was going on with the full moon in Gemini. Because look, I'm not your astrologer, but I can tell you I'm your energy reader. And I'm a Taurus sun, and I wanted to fight somebody. It feels like you were fighting something. Fighting your feelings, fighting leaving somewhere. It feels like you finally broke some sort of cycle or addiction or a way of thought, a thought pattern possibly, because the swords are involved here now. So it feels like once you broke whatever pattern this was, it feels like now you are free to learn lessons. So now we have the King of Wands, we have the King of Cups. The Star is here. We have a lot of major arcana. You're going through a lot of changes, friend. Tell me about the Star. What are you hopeful about? We've got the Seven of Pentacles. We've got the Page of Swords, so you watched and you waited. Yeah, is what you did. You watched and you waited. You took note is what you did. You took note silently until it was time to execute the plan. You know that this plan wasn't going to be a favorable plan for everyone in your life, but you also knew that you didn't want to be stuck here in this devil energy. So I think you broke some chains. It feels like as you were, it's almost like the star energy. It feels like the healing came from you waiting and watching. Because you were like, no, is this really the way that it feels? I'm not really sure because the moon is here. Is this really what's going on? Is there something I'm not seeing here? I feel like the breakthrough comes because you waited and watched, because you took notes, right? That's who the Page of Swords is. You took notes. And when it was time to make a decision, you just pulled out your sword and swung at it. That's all it was. But I think that it gave you, I think that what you saw while you were waiting gave you hope to take a swing at it, is what it feels like here. Tell me what this surprise is, because I feel like this Page of Cups is a bit of a shock or a surprise here at how happy you actually are, even having come through some sort of really dark cycle or really hard cycle you were in. Because it feels like you became... or learned the wisdom of the King of Wands by walking through the fire. You did something that was incredibly hard, but what am I thinking? Hang on a second. Like, y'all know that I'm, the ones of you who have been here before, that I'm clairvoyant, and so I get pictures, I get words from my guide. His name is Charlie. And so, you know what I'm thinking of right now? It's the movie Shawshank Redemption. For those of you who've seen that movie, you know what I'm about to say. Andy climbed through a sewer system equivalent to, I think it was 2 or 3 football fields, and came out great, like smelling great on the other side. Yeah, that's what it feels like. You really dug deep to get through some sort of really deeply shitty situation. And it feels like you are now on the other side. And the surprising thing is that you don't feel bad about it. You don't feel bad about breaking away. You don't feel bad about making the decision. You actually feel relief. You feel joy. 3 of Cups is here. Tell me about this Page of Cups, please. We've got the Knight of Cups. We've got the Strength card, and we've got the Lovers in reverse. It does feel like here that you knew that you had to make a decision, but you held it off for a little while because you were unsure about the situation. You were unsure about the choice you wanted to make, so you held back because, look at this one. This is a great depiction because she's holding back the dragon. I feel like you were holding yourself back because you knew that if you stepped forward, that was it. It would be off with their heads. I feel like you were holding yourself back because you weren't exactly sure of the choice you were making. For some of you, I could be talking about a relationship, could be talking about someone that you were with. It could be a parent situation, but it feels like it was deeply emotional for you. The Knight of Cups is here. It feels like you are learning slowly to open your heart, but to not give everything, to hold some of that back, which I think is really smart. I think the surprise is that the decision that you're about to make is going to, although holding back right now, because you know that if you let it fly, it's going to fly, I think it's going to make your heart space happier. If this hasn't happened yet for you, it feels like maybe I'm confirming something. If somebody here pulled themselves away from something, I feel like you did it for a reason, and a good reason. And I feel like you're ready to build some sort of new foundation for yourself. And if you haven't done this yet, it feels like whatever you're in is deeply emotionally tumultuous. And I feel like somebody here is about to break a pattern of something that they continually do in every relationship, in every argument. It seems like a pattern that you continually went through over and over again is about to be cut. You're about to learn that lesson finally, and now you'll never have to go through it again. We're going to go into the extended. We'll talk more about what that is. What is this that's deeply emotional? What path how did you end up being on the throne here as the King of Wands? What obsessive or toxic thing did you break from your life? And what does the Tower mean? We'll talk about how you're reborn into love at the beginning of a cycle of love. And I think this might be love of self, but we'll talk about that. If you're interested in coming to the extended, please look at the top of the comments. There is one pinned comment. If you open that comment, click on more, you will see a link for the membership area. That's where I put all of the extendeds. If you're interested in going to see any of these extendeds, you will get 4 a month minimum for one sign. If you're watching for other signs, of course, you'll get 4 for each of those in a month as well. And if you are interested in purchasing this one outright, if you're not interested in the membership area, you can go ahead and purchase this one outright. And if you are somebody who's interested in a private reading, I do pre-recorded readings as well as readings that are live. So pre-recorded readings begin at $25. They go from there. And if you're interested in a live reading, please check my schedule. And live readings have a discount anywhere between 5 and 75% off of your reading when you do book in advance. So go check my schedule and book accordingly. I'm going to go for now. I'm going to be in the extended. If you'd like to be there, that's great. And if you're not, that's fine. I'll be back because I'm always back. You guys take care. Happy December. Bye-bye.